We're throwing Joe a party. Yes, Joe Biden's policy down there at the Texas border has once again brought a staggering amount of illegal aliens to the border. And yeah, as you can see by the headline here, Mayorkas welcomes 31,000 global migrants in May. Thank you. I really appreciate what you guys have been doing down there. It's amazing. It really does give me hope that one day I can cross the border and maybe come into your country, and then maybe I can move to Colorado and I can get myself a free identification card and I can go out and work and really, do something good for the economy down there. But yeah, this is not going to stop anytime soon. There's no real solution being proposed, and every time that somebody, even somebody as sympathetic as Lester Holt from NBC fucking News, wants to come forth, ask for just some sort of clarification. Are you going to go down to the border? And the czar herself just cackles away any sort of criticism, question, or just, hey, can you go take a look and see what's going down there? Nah, fuck it. None of that stuff. You don't even have to worry about any of it. There's only 31,000 that came this time. Here, we're not up in the six digits like we were in January. So, hey, it's getting better, right? President Joe Biden's border chief allowed roughly 31,000 global migrants into the United States in May, according to data released by the DHS itself. So, you can trust those. It is a government outlet after all. I'm sure it's not a whole hell of a lot higher than that. The inflow from distant regions in the globe, such as India, Africa, South America, Europe, and Asia, is 62 times the 500 people accepted in May of 2020. Okay. Once in the United States, the migrants are use their cell phones to boast of their success to many other migrants left behind in their poor home countries. An additional 8,000 global migrants were blocked by the Title 42 healthcare barrier. As you can see, 39,000 tried, but 8,000 were turned away. If they want to run with that headline, go right ahead. 8,000 migrants were turned away. Oh boy, we're really cracking down on our border security. Fucking Christ. We passed about 16 boatfuls of migrants yesterday deep in the Darien jungle. One crashed and capsized, similar to this painting. We had already passed the waving migrants and did not see them crash after we passed them. We're going upstream, deeper into the jungle, and we're going downstream towards the United States. Ultimately, most appeared to be African or Haitian. That's the weirdest flex I've read in a while. Representative Tom Tiffany visited one of the jungle trails in Panama used by international migrants. That's just one of those also known as for smugglers and human traffickers. According to a June 2nd interview with the Washington Times, people are coming out of there, could barely walk. Most people were limping. Some people looked like they were about to get gangrene. I saw a woman being wheelbarrowed to a health facility. We heard stories of villages of babies washing down the river that had died en route to the Darien Gap. The human misery is awful. Yeah, it really is awful, Tom. And you know what? It's not your problem. It's the problem of the people in Panama, in Haiti, in Africa, wherever these people are coming from. It's not your problem, okay? America is a great place. People want to come to it because it's great. And you know why it's great? It's because people have looked after it. There's an economic system in place that allows people to be successful, okay? And it's these other countries who have adopted really shitty ideas, who have never looked after their own people. Socialism is for everybody. Just take a look at Venezuela, right? No, it's for everybody. Everybody's life is going to be improved, right? And guess whose life has been improved over the past few years? Nicolas Maduro. That's it. One person. Everybody else, they're starving. They look like they have gangrene. They would be getting wheelbarrowed to health facilities, but they've all closed because they've all ran out of supplies months, if not years ago. So you know what? It's on them. It's on them to improve their conditions so that all of the people that are fleeing out of those shithole countries en masse don't leave, that they want to stay there, that they want to be able to create a better life for themselves in their home countries. I'm sure most of them would. okay? If you weren't incentivizing people to come up to the United States, if you weren't just going to throw them in a detention center, if you just weren't going to release them into the interior of the United States, oh yeah, just come back in a few years' time. Don't worry though, we aren't going to track you down and we don't know your name, you don't know your number or whatever, but yeah, we'll make sure we're going to set you up with a nice backpack with one of Kamala's kids' books. Don't worry about it. Oh yeah, we got you all covered. And oh, that kid looks nothing like you, but I'm sure you're going to raise your daughter well, mister. Tom, it's nice that you're feigning some sort of empathy, or at least some kind of a ploy for empathy. It doesn't work on me because I've seen this dog and pony show way too much. The official numbers released or announced by the DHS do not include so-called gotaways. Oh, no kidding, right? Or the people who evaded border defenses. In April, roughly 40,000 job-seeking migrants, including some global migrants, sneaked across the border, and May got away. Number is likely to be somewhat larger. Somewhat larger? I would say significantly. The DHS improved inflow comes as U.S. employers plead for more foreign workers to help stop Americans from getting wage raises. Exactly, because the people who are escaping these really shitty countries, who you've backed with their regime changes, who you've backed with their really awful socialist policies over the years, that's neolibs, and that's neocons. That's all of their plans coming to fruition. It is squeezing out the American worker. Those jobs, those fry cook jobs, those burger flipping jobs, you remember, God, it wasn't even that long ago. What? Late 90s, early 2000s? What was the media? Okay? Culture is downstream from politics. What was the media? The media out there showing all of those shitty jobs, okay? What were they filled by? Were they filled by migrants? Were they filled by Jorge? No, they were filled by the pimply-faced teenager in The Simpsons, right? They were filled by a black and white kid in Good Burger. Those are just the two examples that come off the top of my head, but guess what? You paid them a respectable job. There was a job opening. Kids needed a foundation to learn good work ethic. But now, fuck it. You can pay George, who just jumped the border, you can pay him $4 an hour to sweep up back there instead of looking after the people in your own country. Therefore, creating another desperate class that can't get a job. Kids that are on the come up in high school, junior high school in some cases, in university, who aren't going to have a job. They aren't going to have an opportunity to gain that necessary work experience in order to get a better job. You don't care. You don't care. You just want to put out the front that you think that this is something good. Oh, we need to look after these people because I seen a couple of people who were in disheveled conditions. New York Times reported June 9th and May an effort to hire 20,000 employees in a tight labor market. Chipotle said it was raising wages and would pay workers from $11 to $18 an hour, probably dependent on which state and which city you were in, because $11 probably goes quite a long way in places like, the middle of the country, whereas $18 an hour, yeah, you could pretty much scrape by if you're on a full-time salary in a much more metropolitan setting. In May, McDonald's said it would be raising hourly wages for current employees by an average of 10%, and that's why you've been seeing more mechanical outlets or display kiosks where you can place your order instead of talking to said shitty teenager. Well, you know what? I'm sure there's a lot fewer customer service complaints, but in the long run, what's that going to do to society? I don't know. But yeah, it continues to just go on like this. Of the 187,000 arrivals, roughly 110,000 were turned back under the Title 42, anti-disease rules, and nearly all of the 110,000 were sent back to Mexico, the 5-yard line of the Hunger Games migration trail, instead of being flown back to their distant homes. No, we're just going to fly back to Mexico, so definitely in like a week or maybe a couple days' time, don't try to cross the border again, because we'll just send you back on an American taxpayer dime. Definitely don't continue to do that. As you can see, these numbers aren't going to be slowing down too much, or at least, to Trumpian levels, because Biden don't care about the border. He really, really don't care about the border, but there's one person, and maybe one state that actually does give a fuck where most of the illegal immigration is coming from. Texas to build its own border barriers, says Governor Greg Abbott. And the last time that I praised him, I got a strike on the channel, so you know what, we're just going to stick to the news story. Governor Greg Abbott told a Breitbart that the state of Texas will immediately begin building border barriers in areas where migrants can easily cross the Rio Grande border with Mexico. The barriers will, in part, enable state law enforcement to arrest migrants for violation of state law. Hopefully they're like lobster traps and you can just pick them up and you got like a family of 4 and you can just throw them back over the border. That'd be terrific. Influx across the border is out of control, and the Biden administration has shown that it's not going to step up and do its job. Governor Abbott told Breitbart Texas shortly before Thursday's border summit in Del Rio, Texas. And amidst reports of even more people coming back across the border, we know we have to step up and do more. We gotta do better. Abbott said Texas will immediately begin construction of a border barrier in areas like Del Rio, where migrants can easily cross unsecured sections of the border with Mexico. The governor picked Del Rio for the border summit due to its massive increase in illegal border crossings in the region. Del Rio sector agents apprehended 27,890 migrants, a 1,118% increase over May 2020 report of 2,289. Wow. So what's changed? What's changed? Okay, that entire pandemic year. New president, new administration. Yeah, I think that there's more hope, because every time that they stick a microphone in one of the border hoppers' fences, what is it? Did you decide to come across the border because there's a new administration? Si, senor. The reason why we are here in Del Rio is because of the massive increase. The governor stated border crossings used to be highly concentrated in the Rio Grande Valley. He explained, now, we're upstream from the Rio Grande Valley and the Del Rio sector, and the Del Rio sector is suffering from some of the largest increases. Oh, very much so. They're seeing a lot of very bad, dangerous people come across the border. Some bad hombres. That's what that sounded like. People that are afraid of encouraging people who are causing damage to their fences, livestock, crops, neighborhoods, and their homes. Bad things are happening around here, and so they need help from the state to help them address the exploding crisis. Yeah, he doesn't want to get into graphic details, but assaults, sexual assaults, rapes, murders, a whole host of things. All you need to do is just type in migrant, Texas, crime, and you'll get a whole host of articles. I'd prefer if you'd go on DuckDuckGo if you want to take a look, because Google is doing some fun things, as you've probably recently been able to tell. Trust the authoritative sources, though. The governor said authorities will be using existing state laws along with the authority of the state of emergency declaration made earlier this month to crack down on those illegally crossing the border, creating havoc along the way. Okay. What people have seen in videos across the country seems to be that a Biden administration welcoming these people into the United States. Abbott added, we won't be sending that message. Exactly. I'm glad that Greg Abbott's decided to take his head out of his ass, and he has for quite a long time at this point, and you love to see it. You love to see Texas take a hardline stand against this, and Abbott working in conjunction with Ken Paxton, suing and trying to hold the Biden administration accountable. It'll at least bridge the gap over the next 2 years to try to make their really radical policies not really stick. And one thing that I mentioned before in some previous videos as well as, Texas. We know that their demographics are shifting, and I don't really care about that. People who want to be legally in the United States, they want to legally be in Texas. I don't give a fuck about their ethnicity. I don't give a fuck about their sex. I don't give a fuck what they do. As long as we all have a common goal that our nation is a good place and that we want to continue its prosperity. Okay? And most of the people that come into Texas, okay, even through the flight of California, even through the process of Californication, with the exception of Austin, which is just a complete and total fucking disaster, most of the time, after about a 7-year grace period, the people that make the flight over from like California and all of these liberal places, I'm just picking on California because everybody knows that example, they tend to be more conservative than native born Texans, okay? Because they understand, even if they still have some lingering hope that, no, my democratic policies are somehow good, I can still make it work, we can make it work elsewhere. Real socialism has never been tried. No, that just doesn't tend to be the case. By the end of it, they got the fucking 10-gallon hat and they got the 2 fucking revolvers and they're firing warning shots off the air. And you love to see it. You love to see it. And another demographic of people, like I said, it doesn't matter what race they are. It doesn't matter if they're just, at one time, soy latte sipping cucks that come over from Los Angeles, or if they're hardworking Mexicans that cross that Rio Grande, they get in there legally. We've made the example with the Eddie Guerrero and his family as well, really being strong proponents of legal, not illegal immigration, okay? I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I'm not one of those people that think that everybody thinks is a monolith, okay? There are so many Mexicans. There are so many Cubans out there that look and then they think, okay, listen, I had to go through all of these steps in order to get over here. I escaped a shitty situation in Cuba, if you're down there in Miami, in San Antonio, if they had to escape a shitty situation in Mexico City. And now they're here. And now they're some of the most conservative people out there because they like the idea that the American dream is still alive and well. They like the rules that are here because it's created a multi-generational success story, and they want to be a part of it. They want their kids to be a part of it because they didn't see any hope from where they came from. And that's why we've seen in the previous presidential election cycle, we've seen that the Hispanic vote went more for Trump than it ever had in previous Republican challengers, at least in the modern era, at least in my lifetime, is what I can say. I don't know where it came. I think like Reagan was the last time that they pulled anything close, but that was slightly before my time. And that's what, I don't know, we got to take this with a grain of salt, and I got to give my disclaimer as well. Marco Rubio, we know him as a rhino, but he got the endorsement from Trump, and what he's been saying and what he's been putting forth lately, I like it. I don't know if this is one of those Ted Cruz situations where Ted Cruz was kind of a bitch in the primaries for 2016, but now he's pretty much just a gun-toting Republican who's just, both six shooters up in the air at this point, and he's a firm America First senator. So I don't know if Marco Rubio got hit by that stick and now he's falling in line once again because he sees the shifting tenor of the GOP party. Perhaps. But I like what he's saying here. Shift in Hispanic vote towards GOP under Trump permanent unless Republicans revert to their pre-Trump ways. Very obvious, very, very obvious, but not enough GOP stalwarts are hearing that call. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida told Breitbart News that he believes a profound shift seen in the 2020 election in the Hispanic community towards Republicans and away from Democrats will continue to intensify as long as the GOP sticks to what former President Donald Trump taught the party. There are communities made up of people who value common sense wisdom and working class values. Exactly. Marco Rubio said when he was asked why Hispanic voters in Miami swung significantly to Trump and the Republicans in the way of the 2020 election, a trend also seen in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. See the connection? That's what life is that's what their life is built on. These are two things that the left has abandoned. You hear lots of talk about people, about whether it's socialism. Socialism is a part of it. And this is where I agree with them. It's not the entire root cause. And that's what so many of those Mitch McConnell, McCarthy types, they're out there, oh, socialism is the greatest threat ever. It is a threat. You can't discount it. But it's not the biggest thing, okay? Socialism is a part of the common sense part of it. In their mind, if I were to step in the shoes of someone who maybe voted for Obama in 2012 and then voted for Trump in 2020, they would say to you, look, I came from a socialist country. I fled it. I didn't read this prior to making this video, by the way. This is just him echoing exactly what I was saying. So might be giving Marco a little bit more leeway going forward. Why the hell would we want to do that here? It makes no sense to them. So you see the Democrats stand up and say, I'm not a socialist, and no, you're not. You don't brand yourself as a socialist, but you support socialist things, and you support socialist leaders and socialist policies. It just makes no sense to them. Rubio added that the shift will be permanent as long as Republicans remain focused on common sense values that Trump championed for the GOP moving forward. He noted that most people in the Hispanic community do not spend all day on Twitter, oh my God, following establishment media figures' orders, but instead they just live a life based on common sense. Exactly. Great point. Great fucking point. If you guys would like to read the rest of the interview, it more or less just goes along the exact same lines. And yeah, GOP, once again, I feel like I keep saying this on like a weekly basis. Follow Trump's message because it's a winner. It's the only message that is out there for the Republican Party right now that has any hope of swaying anybody who used to be a Democrat, seeing the fucking batshit insanity that's going on over there, looking at the other side and being like, what do I got to lose? It'll be interesting to see what the next set of elections end up proving because I don't think that they're wrong. I don't think that this was just a one-off trend. Because you see that the people who are getting the Trump endorsements and the special runoffs, they end up running away with the elections. But once we see it on a grander stage, once we start to see it with the primaries and then especially for the midterms themselves, what the direction of the party is going to be. I think we can all feel that it's going in one direction, but we got to see the tangible evidence in order to prove anything, because those policies like individuality, putting your country first before anybody else, and doing something as basic as securing the border is wildly popular. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It was just like the farewell address that Trump gave and before Biden won the election. Just because I'm putting America first and you're from somewhere else, you should follow my lead and put your country first as well. These are universal truths. These are universally popular decisions. We have the numbers. We've seen the reaction to them. You just put Trump's policy on literally anybody else, and it's percentage points higher because nobody has the excuse of just going orange man bad. I think Rubio's onto something, and I know Abbott's definitely onto something. And I wish Mayorkas would get onto something so there'd be a lot fewer illegal immigrants into the country. With that said, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.